going through Montana. You can see it really is quite mountainous. I passed a truck, another big rig, as I was entering onto the mountain here. And I thought it would be a good time to point out margins. The truck that I passed claims to be the best in the business, and they're good, but they're actually on the top 10 kill list. They have a lot of wrongful deaths. And that happens in industries. Zero is the goal for my trucking career and for anybody that works with me or for me, because it is possible. Back to margins. I haven't successfully completed this leg of the journey, but I will, I believe. Chain removal area. And I've set the margins out at 40 to 55. The max speed limit is 60 for a truck. I passed a guy who was going about 25. I consider myself allegorically as the world's slowest truck driver, but I hadn't yet set out my perimeters for this leg. But you can look and see these big mountains over here. We're either going to go around them or over them. That's just pretty much what's going to happen. And given the speed limit perimeters as they are, as a maximum of 60 miles per hour, and a lot of these turns are recommended 60 or down to 55, I'm going to use my service brake and my jack brake. Here says 60. So I'm going to use my service brake and my jack brake, and I'm not going to be so concerned about the surface. First, I'm going to be concerned about controlling the speed of the truck. When you control the speed of the truck, you then will know more how to steer, because the surface is really related to your speed. You can stop on ice. You can drive slowly on ice and on snow. You cannot stop on a regular dime, a range, a certain set out in your psyche as a good driver distance on ice compared to snow, compared to dry pavement. So these ranges, at 41 right now, help you with regards to the peace that you want to maintain, tranquility as a safe truck driver. Thus, point being, go to your steering control. Speed, steer, speed, steer, speed, steer. When I say speed, I don't mean overspeed. I'm just saying maintain your speed margins. That's why a truck like this has adaptive speed control. So my margin is going to be 40 to 55. And most, I'll call them plebeian drivers, you can drive where you please, versus professional drivers who are driving somebody or cargo or go by contract. Okay, we have heavy vehicles, so this margin is going to be more about slowing down than it actually is speeding up, because that's the uncontrolled factor that you have to bring control to, that you can't let go and mitigate it. Gravity's going to pull this truck at 40,000 pounds of hops down the hill faster and faster and faster, unless in fact something begins to break it. Laws of motions, laws of gravity, all thermodynamics. When I start to brake, I'm basically grinding stone in a way. I'm grinding those brake pads down against drums, rotors, against the mechanisms themselves. It has different braking setups all the way through it, and air pads, if you will, and pneumatic systems that will literally, with springs, lock the brakes down if need be. Now, there's some devices over and above that to mitigate a lockdown event. That's why you, private vehicles, plebeian vehicles, civilian vehicles, you have, it'll pump the brakes and lock down the disc. The truck, you're not going to have that. You're going to have trailer brakes that are quite possibly a separate lever like this one here, trailer brake, that works in conjunction with the service brake. So when I push the service brake, it's naturally going to apply the trailer brakes and the truck brakes. But if I just apply this, it's going to apply the trailer brake which is really, really good because I know the weight of the trailer sitting on that kingpin, and with a latch behind it, it will slow down the truck with it. You don't want to get too radical on it. The chances of the trailer coming off are almost zero, but there is a slight chance. The point is, this is a method. It's a 53. I'll take it down to 40 to show you. That's all I'm getting paid to do right now, is to safely control the speed and steering of the truck. It's at 40. I didn't have to take it all the way down to 40. And now the pneumatics of it, by the time I let off the handle, it got down to 37. But watch what happens. And this is pretty much flat portion, but we're going to be gaining ground and going there. I'm going to go ahead and put my adaptive speed control on because it's not going to, I want to pick up as much mileage as I can safely. That's why jokes say I'm the world's slowest truck driver, but we still get there on time. So we're going to do all the detailed stuff. We're not going to have a waste of unnecessary breakdowns, unnecessary crashes. If there's a mechanical defect in a crash, that's because it was not maintenance. But you see it set on 50 as adaptive speed control. It's a pretty flat portion. And these brakes can definitely, by themselves, stop the rig. So I could use the service brakes, and even if my trailer brakes went out, the truck brakes would stop, and the tractor brakes would stop and use synonymously in the industry. Truck is a tractor truck. They would stop the trailer, but I'm telling you, your distance is going to be much greater if you don't learn to get your trailer in gimbal, even in braking. And it sounds peculiar, and there's that Swift guy coming around me now. But it's actually some of the most opportune times to get the feel of your trailer is in a braking event. When you maintain speed and steering in gimbal, then you got the truck under control. And a professional driver can feel that. And yes, it's based on noise and vibrations. There's no doubt about that. And responsiveness. What does the truck do when you steer? Does it feel loose? Does it feel tight? Does it feel under control? Does it have some type of jerk in it, in the trailer or in the tractor? When you brake, do you feel one side of the truck start to have a shimmy in it? Do you feel the trailer brakes apply before you feel the tractor brakes apply? Those are small elements of trucking. When you become a professional, you'll note that it's either a mechanical issue that gets you into gimbal, you're safely proceeding, you can feel the truck it's in a advancing the load progression in a safe vibration, if you will, because you're always in vibration. Humans, your heart's beating all the time. You go to sleep, you're not moving physically, you don't think you're moving, but your heart and blood's still moving around. Well, it's the same with the mechanics and material aspects of the big tractor trailer. This thing has got a lot of moving parts, and a lot of parts are designed to be secured and fixed, which are, and they're your stabilizers. And one of the big differences is you've got a huge frame, and that's why this rig is designed to be like a Freightliner. Its tractor is sitting on top of a big, weighty frame that helps hold the front and the nose with the motor. It's a diesel. We'll talk more about the idea of compression versus ignition and how that factors into when it comes to speed control, because your diesel motor, because it's so torquey, the pistons are much heavier, it is good in slowing down. They call it engine braking, but it's not a problem noise ordinance wise in the newer trucks. If you've got a properly set up truck, it's not going to be loud noise ordinance wise when you go to engine braking, electric jack braking. Now it may sound different. It might go from and it's hitting a higher RPM. But you put just a little bit of resistance, like this one is now at 53. It's getting up to 54. You don't see. Put this down to 50. It's applying resistance with the motor. I'm not touching the trailer brake or the service brake, which applies the tractor and the service. So that was the truck itself, and you can see there it hit 56, even though the Freightliner claims to allow it to go 5 over, which is a slight difference in the Peterbilt. Peterbilt will let it go 4 over, so it claims 1.5 under. The adaptive speed control on the Freightliner will let it go 5 over and 2 under, but truth be told, in the field, I've seen a Freightliner go 11 over and 7 under, still trying to keep the truck under control. Now, you cannot blame the truck or the design for it, or even the engineers, because that was a water haul. It was heavy. I mean, my goodness, it was loaded down, and the truck was fighting to get it back into that in the hills of West Virginia. So the point is, I just let the truck do what it was going to do, and I didn't apply my service brake or the trailer brake in that truck. And I determined, based on the threshold test, that yes, an adaptive speed control in 2023 Freightliner will let it go 11 over and 7 under, because it's struggling to maintain those speeds up and down a hill, mountainside, if you will. So anyway, when you maintain gimbal in trucking and know your margins, your truck is always safe. The cleaner the truck, the safer the truck. The more often inspected to a certain threshold, the more well-maintained the truck, the safer the truck. And the more informed of a driver who is at peace. You need to have peace in driving. If you can't get behind the wheel, your anxiety overwhelms you, when there become emergency events, then you're not going to react properly. That's what you've got to get in your mind, is that standard operating procedure exists for every situation. Somebody's already encountered it as a trucker. Now, you may not have access to talk to them, and you might not read about it, but there's going to be similar elements to it. So I'm up to 53 now, and it's starting to pull close to the G. And I'll talk more about that as far as like turns and the coexistence of friction with the tires and various surfaces, because this weight is a little bit different. But again, it goes back to feeling your load, maintaining gimbal, using professional discretion. You see there, like I use professional discretion because there's a shoulder on this road to margin to the right, and that sound that you hear is the speaker that's linked into a radar. Once a sensor sees that line, and I'll show you what the device does. It should kick in. So there you go. See, it kicks in to tell you that you're getting on or over the line. Now that's a different device. It's mechanical there. If you look, the treads that are on the pavement, which were made by the tractor or the earth mover, those are mechanical devices. That'll make a sound on anybody's tire. But that's an internal device here to help you with steering and lane control. You maintain your speed, you maintain your steering, then you're maintaining the acceleration and deceleration, speeding up and stopping. You maintain your steering control, and you will be maintaining your lane control, your passing, and your maneuvering. And we'll talk to you in the future about some of the differences in maneuvering in each truck. Because there are standard trucks that are a certain length that are better for over the road, but they're not going to be as good in certain docks because or yards. And so you'll see some trucks that are longer because they're going to have to make more precise turns. And being longer in that situation actually works the inverse of the law that you would normally think. A long object, it's going to take a wider area to turn. With two objects that are connected, if one is longer, then they actually can turn and pivot. So the two objects together, if the first one's a little bit more longer and has some walk to it, if you've got fifth wheel space for the pivot, you'll be able to maneuver more precisely with a little bit longer of a truck, so your trailer has to clear. So the beauty of trucking is it involves business because there's contracts, it's bill of lading, and that's why it's a fair rule. You got to speak the language of the commerce and be able to read it, because otherwise you might get your vendor screwed up, and that's just basics. You can't read the manual, and you can't say you're a proper driver if you can't read the manual of the industry that you're a professional in. So it's a business, number one. Number two, it's also labor. So you're being able to get out and manually be in God's beautiful creation. Number three, because of the business, it really involves law, so I like that. In a way, it involves marketing because you have to convey yourself that, hey, I can get it there. I have the fidelity to put your trust in me and have the confidence that we're going to see the load through. And since God is a God of order, people know when stuff ain't right. You got your stuff together, people know it. Versus distress look. It's together, that thing's vintage, it's been distressed. It's actually more trustworthy because it's got the miles on it. It's 50,000 silvers. Do like numbers. So that's the essence of trucking, I think, is knowing your margins, not just profit margins, but safety margins. Now I'm on a more flat area, 750, and I have for those mountainous legs and just bits of the journey, a range of 40 to 55, and I'm going to up this one, probably put it 60, 65. If I get above 65, it's really surprising. And that's why it's kind of funny. Is some of the laws, like in Utah, you can drive 80 miles an hour. Some of them have truck limits of 70, plenty of vehicles can go in. I find that so fascinating that you can drive unsafely and still be doing the speed limit. That's peculiar to me. This is a good example here of how you should break it down like that. Speed limit 70, trucks 65. Perfectly fair margins. So I think most people aren't competent and they want life, which is feeling alive. Life is worth living. They want their freedom, which is faith, believe what's best for them. Liberty to practice it. Hope. They're all intertied. Hope comes with dignity. So, trucking with your teeth, know your best is enough. Know your margins. But we'll look at this 40,000 pounds of hops to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Bye for now. I love you, and so do I. Yes, life is worth living.